Hello, everyone. So here I am, fresh off the plane, in this amazing, bustling new city. The first thing I need to do is find my way to the hotel. But everything here is in a different language. Oh wow, this is definitely going to be an adventure. Come along with me, and let's figure this out together. I walk up to the information desk and ask, "Excuse me, could you help me find the nearest taxi stand?" Fortunately, the attendant speaks English, and I am already breathing a sigh of relief. I get the directions and I am off to find my ride. Here is a tip for you. Always check how to ask for directions in the local language. It can be a big help in new places. Alright, I finally hop into a cab. I tell the driver, "Hotel Grand Central, please." Only, I do not think he understood me. After a bit of pointing at my phone with the hotel address, he nods and we are off. It's a great reminder to have the address written down, especially when pronunciation might be difficult in a new language. Finally, I am here at my hotel. I go up to the front desk and say, "I have a reservation under the name Ryan Brown." The receptionist smiles and asks for my ID. Here's another good tip. Always keep your ID handy, and if you booked online, have a copy of your reservation. It makes the check-in process much smoother.
All right, now that you've joined Ryan on his city adventure, let's take a moment to learn some useful words and phrases that can make navigating a new place a whole lot easier. Whether you're ordering food, asking for directions, or trying to find a pharmacy, these phrases will help you communicate with confidence.
Fresh off the plane. Meaning, this phrase means someone has just arrived in a new place after traveling, often by plane. It suggests that the person is still adjusting to their new surroundings. Example: I was fresh off the plane and trying to find my way to the hotel in a totally unfamiliar city. "Excuse me, could you help me find?" Meaning, a polite way to ask someone for assistance in locating something. Adding "excuse me" shows respect and consideration. Example: "Excuse me, could you help me find the nearest restroom?" Tip: use this phrase whenever you're unsure about directions or need help finding something in a public place. Breathing a sigh of relief. Meaning, to feel relaxed or relieved after a stressful situation is resolved. Example: after finding someone who spoke English at the information desk, I was breathing a sigh of relief. Tip: this is used when a stressful or tense moment suddenly feels easier or more manageable. Wild guess and hope. Meaning, taking a guess when you don't know the exact answer and hoping it turns out well. This is often used when you're not sure, but you give it a try anyway. Example: I took a wild guess and hoped I was ordering something I'd like from the menu written in a different language. Tip: this phrase is helpful when you want to explain that you're uncertain about your choice, but you're giving it a try. What do you recommend? Meaning, a polite way to ask someone, often a local or an expert, what they think is the best option. Example: I couldn't decide what to eat, so I asked the waiter, "What do you recommend?" and ended up trying a delicious local dish. Tip: this phrase shows interest in local knowledge and often leads to a great recommendation, especially with food or travel spots. What else do you recommend? Meaning, if the first recommendation isn't available or you want to hear more options, this is a polite follow-up question. Example: when the restaurant was out of the dish I wanted, I asked, "What else do you recommend?" and discovered another amazing meal. Tip: this keeps the conversation open and shows you're flexible to new suggestions. Navigate. Meaning, to find your way or guide yourself through an area. Example: I had to navigate the busy city streets to find my hotel. Translation. Meaning, changing words from one language to another. Example: I used a translation app to understand the menu. Recommendation. Meaning, a suggestion or advice about what to choose. Example: the server's recommendation helped me choose the best dish. Reservation. Meaning, a booking or arrangement made in advance. Example: I made a reservation at a popular restaurant to make sure I got a table. Attendant. Meaning, a person who helps or provides a service, often in public places like airports or hotels. Example: the airport attendant helped me with directions to the taxi stand. Vendor, meaning a person who sells goods, often in markets or on the street. Example: I bought a snack from a vendor at the local market. Currency, meaning the money used in a particular country. Example: I had to exchange my currency to use in the new city. Gesture, meaning a movement of the hands or body to express an idea or feeling. Example: since I couldn't speak the language, I used a gesture to show I had a headache. Counter, meaning a long flat surface where services are provided, often at hotels, restaurants, or stores. Example: I placed my bags on the counter and checked into my room. Phrasebook, meaning a small book with common phrases in a foreign language, helpful for travelers. Example: I carried a phrasebook to learn basic words and communicate better.
All right, everyone. Now, we're going to go through a short story together. I'll guide you through each part, and you can follow along, repeating the phrases and vocabulary. Imagine you've just landed in a new city. You're standing at the airport exit, looking around, feeling fresh off the plane. Now, you need to find the taxi stand. What do you say? Repeat after me. Excuse me, could you help me find the nearest taxi stand? Repeat after me. Excuse me, could you help me find the nearest taxi stand? Great. You're already getting help to find your way. Now, you're in the taxi, heading to your hotel, but you're not sure if the driver understands you. You hand over your phone with the address and breathe a sigh of relief when he nods. At the hotel, you walk up to the counter and say, repeat after me. I have a reservation under the name Ryan Brown. I have a reservation under the name Ryan Brown.
So, I am wandering around the market, and the smell of food is just too good to ignore. I walk up to a food vendor and try to order a snack. But here's the challenge. The menu is in the local language, so I take a wild guess and hope I am ordering something delicious. A phrase I always keep handy is, "What do you recommend?" It's a great phrase to use when you are not sure what to order. I sit down to eat and realize I have no idea what is on this menu. So, I ask the server, "Do you have an English menu?" Thankfully, they do. But as I start to order, I notice they are out of a few items I wanted. Here's another helpful phrase. "What else do you recommend?" It keeps the conversation going and gives you a chance to try something new. Hey there! Now it's time to put everything we've learned into practice. Let's walk through a full story together. Just like my adventure today. Imagine you're in my shoes, traveling in a new city. I'll tell you what to say, and you'll repeat after me. Ready? Let's go. You've just arrived in a new city. You're standing at the airport exit with your suitcase, looking for the taxi stand. What do? You ask someone for help. Repeat after me. Excuse me, could you help me find the nearest taxi stand? Excuse me, could you help me find the nearest taxi stand? Now you've reached your hotel. You go to the front desk and check in. Here's what you say. I have a reservation under the name Sumit. I have a reservation under the name Sumit. You head to a lively local market, where the smell of street food is too tempting to ignore. You walk up to a food vendor but aren't sure what to order. So you ask, "What do you recommend? What do you recommend?" Later, you decide to sit down at a cozy restaurant. You're handed a menu, but it's in the local language. What do? You ask the server, "Do you have an English menu? Do you have an English menu?" Great! The server brings you an English menu, but the dish you want isn't available. No problem, you ask, "What else do you recommend? What else do you recommend?" Fantastic job, everyone. You've just practiced a complete travel story. Keep practicing these phrases, and you'll be ready for your own adventure in no time. Thanks for joining me today. See you next time for more fun and learning. Safe travels.